One of these backing tracks was made with real musicians. Can you tell which one's which? My name's Chase Maddox, and today I want to talk about this amazing new app called Quartet. Now, this is a sponsored video, but I never review anything on this channel unless I can 100% endorse it and actually use it myself. So let me show you why this single app completely changed and upgraded my practice routine. Here's the thing, I know most of you guys aren't playing with live musicians regularly. You're playing mainly in your bedroom, but you still want to get better at jazz guitar. And you know the best way to actually get better, right? It's playing with live musicians. Now, playing with Quartet is actually a way to sound better and get better faster, way more than any guitar or piece of gear you could actually buy. And this is the closest I've heard and felt to playing with live musicians using an app, and it's motivated me to practice and have way more fun shedding tunes. Now, within this backing track app with Quartet, you're actually playing with musicians who've played or recorded with guys like George Benson, Herbie Hancock, John Scofield, Wayne Shorter, Sting, so many more great musicians. So you're playing with other great musicians. There's no MIDI, this is just real musicians backing you up. Now let's take another example from No Greater Love. This is a song that generally has a swing feel where we would start in 2, the 2 feel with the bass, and then when the solos come in, we go into 4. This is kind of a normal way you would play this. Of course, you don't get that in something like iReal Pro. It just plays the same groove the entire time. Check out what it sounds like on Quartet. Let's go over to the app. Okay, so I'm gonna go over here, and in the search bar, I'm gonna type "There is no greater love." Let's just do "There is no." Okay, here it is. I'm gonna click it, and let's start off, and let's just listen to it. And one thing that's really great about this is you actually get intros for these songs. It's way more inspiring to just get into the song than a count off and a click, and it's also a lot easier to just jump in. So let's check it out. So you hear it in 2. 1, 3. Every 2 beats we have the bass going. Okay, we'll skip ahead. Now we're going into the A section again. Now the bass is in 4. Okay, there's a lot of things to talk about here. The first one, the bass actually is making these adjustments, so giving you that break and then leaving you space to actually play your solo. You are not gonna get that from iReal Pro or any of these other backing tracks. And this gives that to you, which is already a huge upgrade. So during the head, he's playing the 2 feel, but once you get to the solos, he switches over to the 4 feel to give you that lift. This is exactly what real musicians do, and you're getting that within Quartet. Look, I already know you can hear the difference. If you want to transform your practice sessions right now, the link for the app is in the description. My recommendation is to just get the full bundle. But let's go into the specific features that really convince you that this is worth every penny. Okay, so now I want to talk about the song Wave. And we'll do a comparison here. We'll do a bunch of different genres of jazz tunes and a bunch of different styles and really show you some of the differences. So let's talk about comping. Now, one of the things that you get from something like iReal Pro, and maybe even some of the more sophisticated computer-generated ones, is a lot of the same chord voicing over and over again. It just like pounds the same chord in your head as you're doing it. Let me show you. So let's go over to iReal Pro and let's do Wave and just take a listen to the chords here. That G minor 6, that da 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 da, it's the same exact voicing. It is very, very unlike a human to play like that. Let's check out how Quartet would comp over this. Let's skip ahead to just the A section. Okay, we didn't have any of that da 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 comping that makes no sense for the context. We even have little bass line things walking up in the piano, like a piano player would actually play this. And it's really not about just playing chords, it's about making music and connecting musically. Another thing that's really cool about Quartet is you have different mix options. So let's say I want to practice my comping here. I can actually have the Quartet app switch to include a solo, and I can just comp over that. So let's try that right now. I'm going to go up here in the settings, and I'm going to do, we have Quartet with flute, piano, bass, drums. Let's just do flute, bass, drums so that I can comp along with this. All right, so now let me comp over this, and I'll have a flute solo that I can play with. And you could have it with piano or without. I'm gonna do it without so you can really hear me comping along with it. So in this way, I get to respond to a real musician instead of just playing over a programmed track. Okay, so here's where Quartet really shines. Let's talk about Night in Tunisia. First, let me show you the iReal Pro version. And let's start at the last A section. So we're on the last A section of Night in Tunisia, just for the sake of time, and we're gonna be going into that interlude part. Okay, there's a few things that you should notice here if you're familiar with the tune. The first thing is that the form is totally wrong. It never goes to the interlude part where you would want it to, leading into your solo. And it skips completely the change in feel between Latin and swing where it is supposed to. And it constantly is going back and forth between these two feels, or at least it should. This is one of the most important parts of this tune, and you literally cannot practice it correctly if you're using iReal Pro. Now let me show you what it sounds like using Quartet. Not only is it accurately switching between the Latin and swing feels, but check out that 4-measure break. That is one of the most important things you'd want to practice here, and it actually set me up perfectly to then play that break and go into my solo. If you're practicing this tune, one of the things you probably want to do is practice that break over and over again. And you can do that pretty easily here, looping sections. Let me show you that right now. Okay, so we have all the interlude right here, and there's the break. So the first thing you do is you hit this little loop button at the bottom, and then we're gonna say where we're starting, and let's say I end right here. So that's the section it's going to loop. That F major part in the middle is the break. So let's try playing over this. Okay, so it gives me time to practice that break. iReal Pro won't even let you do that. Now, Quartet isn't just about traditional jazz standards. They also have more modern tunes. You know, doing this, we have to check out if they have any Benson. And why don't we try playing a Breezin'? Now I'm gonna switch over to what it sounds like playing on iReal Pro's Breezin', and I'm not gonna do the whole thing because it is really, really rough. It really changes the entire feel of the melody, and just in general, pop grooves, pop rock type grooves really don't sound good on most of these computer generated apps. Now, one of the things that Quartet does here is they have different packages of tunes across 4 different apps currently, with many more coming out very soon. And what you can do to organize yourself among these 4 different apps is use the search feature like we've been doing. This might be one of the biggest cons of using the app, but honestly, I haven't found it to be much of an issue. It's very, very simple. If we go back here, you go to the search, you search for any song, right? So if I'm gonna search Affirmation, let's say, we see it comes up here and it'll tell me which app this is in, Q4, Quartet 4. But I don't even need to do that. I just tap on the song and it takes me there. It automatically opens that up. It's as if it's in the same app. So Sometimes in the reviews, people are complaining about that, but they're really just complaining about something very insignificant compared to all of the benefit you get from using Quartet. I think the main thing to keep in mind here is these are real audio tracks. So while you can change the key and tempo, you really don't want to stray too far away from where they are. Now, they're originally in keys and tempos that make sense for the song. So it's not necessary for a fast song to also sound great at 60 beats per minute. If you want to play that fast song, you can adjust it slightly, or you can play it in a slightly different key. But since it's a real audio track with real musicians, if you slow it down drastically, you're slowing down the real audio track, and you introduce certain audio artifacts as a result. Quartet is available on iPhone, iPad, and also for Apple Silicon Mac. That's M1 chips and above. And once you download it on one of them, you can also get it on the other. So you don't have to double pay for access on your phone or your iPad. To sum up the pros, I say this has real musical intelligence. The bass players know when to switch fields. The piano players actually comp the way a piano player comps. You have good substitutions, correct song forms, breaks. You have space to play the melody where you're supposed to be playing the melody. Most importantly, like I said, it actually makes you want to practice. I know we focused a lot on comparing it to iReal Pro, but to be honest, this is better than all of the backing track apps out there, whether it's iReal Pro, Band in the Box, and even the random backing tracks that I know you find on YouTube and try to use. So will I ditch iReal Pro completely? No. I still use iReal Pro on gigs for creating set lists, original charts, and obscure tunes, but I no longer use it to practice with backing tracks at all. There's no contest between that and Quartet. So if you're tired of uninspiring practice sessions with these robotic comping and wrong song forms, this is seriously a game changer. The link is in the description. I honestly suggest get the full bundle. That's what I started with as well. It saves you money and you just start off with all the songs. And honestly, I'm so convinced that this will improve your playing. Any of my Chase Guitar Academy members that are watching this, as well as what I'll tell them in person, this is so much better. You need to be purchasing and playing along with Quartet instead of iReal Pro. Let me know in the comments, could you tell the difference between those two backing tracks? I'm pretty sure you could, but which one of these features is the most important to you? Let me know in the comments. I'll respond to everyone that comments, and I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks again to Quartet for sponsoring this. Thanks guys for watching. If you want my top tips for practicing, go check out this video now. I'll see you guys next time.